Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani. I'm happy we have once again in the studio Dr. Otive Igbuzor. Dr. Otive Igbuzor, you're welcome.
Thank you, Father. It's my pleasure once more.
We had a fantastic discussion the other day on religion and corruption, using religion to fight corruption. I'd like us to discuss today politics today. Politics in Nigeria as we are doing it today and what is supposed to be the ideal. In recent times in this country, we have had all the cross-carpeting, camping and decamping and defections up and down, wind carrying people to this side and then back to this side. And I'm asking myself, what does this say about politics in Nigeria? The conduct of politics, the conduct of leadership. What does it say about the character of the individuals, the integrity of the individuals? Because there are certain things that are beneath certain people. I mean, human beings, any responsible person should be living by principles. So you join a political party, you should join on account of certain principles, or at least the environment, the kind of human beings that are there. You say, yes, I associate with whatever values they hold. But when people just keep drifting as the wind blows.
I think, Father, you know, for me there are two key issues. The first is that politics is very important in every society. It determines every other issue. Politics affects economy. Politics affects religion. Politics affects social life. Politics affect culture. Politics affect behavior. So politics is very important in any society. Unfortunately, for us in Nigeria, you know, especially because of the endless transitions of the
from military
IBB regime.
Maradona
that dribbled everyone. And people became weary. And when Abdusalami Abubakar brought the transition program, many people did not believe.
It was too sudden for us.
And so people did not participate.
Which is why some of the big names in the pro-democracy struggle, the Ulisa Bakobas, Clem Nwankwas, all these people, they remain in the trenches.
We have looked at it up to today as a strategic error. So a kind of people came into politics that did not have the democratic values. Because there are values that underpin democracy. And so what you see being practiced in Nigeria, that is the second issue, is quite different from the ideal.
Of course.
In an ideal system, people of like minds come together
to form a political
association, to aggregate the interests of members and to struggle to capture power, to organize society in a particular way. And there is a philosophical basis
for those
associations and for how they think society should be organized. And so, that being the case, the political party becomes an instrument not just for capturing power, but for how to organize society. So there are programs, there are manifestos, there are philosophies, and all of that go with it. But what we see today is that politics has become an avenue for primitive accumulation of wealth.
That's what is dominant.
So people see political parties as platforms just to capture power. So it doesn't matter the kind of platform. And that is why, you know, even if you look at our own history, if you look during the First Republic, NEPU was different from NPC. Philosophically. And even in terms of program. If you look at it during the Second Republic, Unity Party of Nigeria, UPN, led by Chief Obafemi Awolowo, was different from the NPN, National Party of Nigeria, led by Alhaji Shehu Shagari. Their programs and policies were quite different.
And it was different from MPP.
And when you but you know, we cannot, argue enough of the evil that the military regime did to us.
We are still suffering the
We are
consequences.
still suffering the consequences. When they came and banned people on ban, and they can just look at Father Ehusani and they say, look, we have banned you for security reason. No explanation. So that was a time where leadership at local level has to be sanctioned by Abuja.
Yes.
And therefore, the loyalty and commitment of the leader
is no longer to his people,
but to the powers that be. And it has continued to today. So today, if you want to run as a governor of a state, it does not depend on how popular you are within the state to get the ticket. It will now depend on what network you have in Abuja to enable you to have the ticket. So all of this has destroyed the basis of society, the basis of politicking, and because of that, many decent and competent people
have withdrawn.
But I think we are seeing a new movement.
I am speaking to Dr. Otive Igbuzor, who was country representative of Action Aid in Nigeria, and before then he had worked with Center for Democracy and Development, has a lot of experience in these matters, in helping to develop leaders, in helping to orient people in this whole democratic culture. And he is saying that we lost it along the way, especially with the incursion of military rule. And a lot of people are growing up in Nigeria now who have no idea about how society is supposed to run. Yes. And how society is supposed to be run better. Right now we have a lot of gangsters, as it were, who have captured power at local government level, at state senatorial level, and so on and so forth. How are we going to turn things around for a lot of the young people, let's say people under 30, under 40, who have no idea how society is supposed to run? How are we going to turn things around for them to begin to recognize that, look, the caliber of people in many places at various levels that are running our affairs, in a well-organized society, they have no business in power because they have no idea I mean, if politics is about superintending the building and maintenance of society and the human beings in that society, it is the best
of us that should lead the process.
It is the best of us that should lead. It is the most people with the highest level of integrity and character and antecedents. You have a situation in this country today where somebody comes out of the blues and he has the most money among the people who gather together, and therefore he wins the ticket to be either governor or senator or whatever. And nobody is asking how he made his money. That's, for me, even such a critical matter. Nobody is asking, how did this person make the money? In fact, almost everybody seems to agree that, oh, he has the resources, let him go in.
But you know, Father, but there's a silver lining. You know, across the country,
yes,
I know, there are people who are silently working, who are building new crop of leaders.
I hope so.
We set up the leadership school in our center 10 years ago. As of today, we've graduated 645 people, you know, across the country. Apart from us, many other
leadership
are
outfits
doing things. Apart from leadership, there is a movement called the 3 C's movement, who are looking at how do you bring leaders with 3 C's? Capacity, competence, and character.
Capacity, competence and character.
There are young people who are into entrepreneurship, and they are doing things in a new way, developing apps, doing online marketing, and making money in new ways.
I mean, when did Jumia come in? When did Konga come in? And now they are big enterprises.
And many of them are increasingly noting that making the money without the right political environment
is not it.
It's not it.
Because some idiot will go into power and
And you know, for change to happen in any society, it moves. There is a spectrum from awareness. First is ignorance.
Yes.
Then the first level is
to
awareness.
Wake up, to be
awareness
aware.
Is to know.
Yes.
You know, what is going on, how bad people are destroying the system. And I can assure you, Father, that the level of awareness today in Nigeria is high. You don't need to go to anywhere. Go to the Facebook and you see all kinds of people about how people are aware. You know, about how the ruling elite are fleecing the resources of the country. So the level of awareness, but there are two other levels. The second level is the level of consciousness. When you are not just aware, but you reach a level when you say, I know I can do something. And you make a commitment to do something.
To engage.
To engage. And then the final and the most important level is the level of organizing for change.
Yes.
That is where we have not seen many Nigerians. Because it requires commitment.
Time.
It requires time. It requires resources. It requires sacrifice.
This is it. That in recent time, in the last 6 months, 9 months in this country, there has been a lot of campaign. Get your PVC. Get your political power depends on your PVC. And I say, if you got your PVC and you are not a member of a political party,
you have limited rule.
When the usual people gather and they bring one guy out to be maybe this party has this person, this party has this person, you are left with making a choice between the devil and the blue sea.
Absolutely.
Because you were not there. So it is not enough to just get PVC.
I agree.
I think in the campaigns that have been going around, they have, maybe because of the lethargy of Nigerians, if only 15 million people voted in 2015, we needed to talk a lot about people getting PVC.
You know, Father, but the number of people that have registered between 2015 and now is almost more than the votes that got victory. In other climes, you will have strategy to capture these new entrants. And any leader who is able to capture these new entrants has won the elections.
Of course, because it's a lot more than...
Because it's a lot more than the number of people that voted in 2015. But you see, the dynamics are changing. You can see the new entrants into the race. Even if, take the presidency for instance, many competent people, many dynamic young people have entered the race. You know, even unusual people have entered the race. Whatever the outcome, they will have gained experience on how the political waters is. And as they gain experience, as they move, because society can change two ways. In fact, in Marxist literature, we call it quantitative and qualitative changes. So the quantitative changes are gradual changes that will take place. And even if you see the electoral system, with the work that Atahiru Jega and Professor Mahmoud has done, there's a lot of changes. People no longer go and snap and run away because you won't be able to submit the report. People will snap your pictures, all the evidences will be there, and INEC is also becoming more credible in the sense that any INEC official that colludes to accept those kind of results.
It's captured on
there is possibility. No, not in the past, not that people don't know. In the past, it's connivance from the top. But now, there is a possibility that if you connive at that level, you will have you will be dealt with in the office. So things are improving. So what we need to do, but when the time things improve, when it gets to a certain level where people can no longer take, there will be a revolutionary change.
Yes.
So what we need to do is to push the envelope, increase level of awareness, like we're doing through this program. As people get aware, they will become conscious. They will reach the level where they organize for change. And change will
what
begin
about
to
the issue of acrimonious poverty, destitution, which made in the elections in Anambra, the elections in Ekiti, people accepted 4,000 naira and voted and blah, blah, blah. It's as if the organizers were not even prepared for that, because we were not prepared for the amount of vote buying that we saw in those recent elections. But it says something about the poverty of the people, not just material poverty, but intellectual poverty, that will exchange their votes for 4,000 naira.
I've followed the political development in this country since 1979. Before then, I've read about what happened. I can tell you, Father, that there is no election that there is no vote buying. Vote buying is not a new phenomenon. It started with Maggi and salt.
That's some vote buying in some way.
No, it's vote buying. I give you Maggi, you vote for me. Bread. Put money inside the bread and give to people. There were different forms of vote buying in every election. What we saw in Anambra was that the vote buying was upped, such that somebody will go and sit down in one place, separate, and then you go there, you collect your money and go and vote. And then in Ekiti, why it has become so popular is that in Ekiti, in some places it was publicized.
Show and
exactly. So it's not new.
Pay and show, or show and pay.
See and buy.
Okay, see and buy.
See and buy. So it's not new. Vote buying has always been there. But the point is that, and I think this is the ruling elite must recognize that when you run a society with impunity, the citizens, the politicians
will cut corners.
We also go with impunity. Because in this country, we know that there are many laws that have been passed by the National Assembly that officialdom, agree that they will not respect them. Let me give you two examples. The Procurement Act was passed in 2007. And the prescription of the Procurement Act is that government will set up a procurement council that will approve all procurements in Nigeria. From Yaradua to Goodluck Jonathan to Muhammadu Buhari, they've refused to implement the provisions of that act. Let's fast forward. The Electoral Act. The Electoral Act states clearly that no individual or organization can donate more than 1 million naira to a candidate in an election. But we see on television, people will say, I'm giving 200 million. I'm giving, in fact, I remember at one time when they did some launching, by the former regime, people donated 5 billion.
On TV?
On TV. On TV. In flagrant disregard
of the provisions.
The present electoral act states that if you are contesting for the position of a governor, you cannot spend more than 200 million naira. But we know the advert rates on NTA, on AIT, and channels.
Yes.
And we've seen one gubernatorial candidate put on advert. Only that enough alone is more than 200 million. So when you run a country, the National Health Act was passed many years ago.
Yes.
It's only in this budget that the 1%. 1%, which is supposed to be devoted to National Act, was put in it. So what am I saying? When you run a society on lawlessness, people will begin to take to lawlessness. And that is why we see this situation of vote buying. So to deal with vote buying is to make sure that all stakeholders play their role in the electoral process. Vote buying is illegal according to the Electoral Act. And so vote buying should not be allowed to take place in the presence of security agencies.
Yeah, so you don't need any other mechanism because security agencies are there.
That is it. In a society, that is one at times I always argue that at times Nigerians place too much burden on INEC.
If it's a crime, it's a crime.
It's a crime. For elections to be free, fair, and credible, every stakeholder must play his role.
Including the individual that is just standing
including
there.
the citizen.
Yes.
In fact, do you know that a citizen has a power of arrest?
I know.
Yeah. A citizen can arrest somebody and say, I saw you buying vote. It's illegal. You take the picture and the person is prosecuted. You know, in this country, unless we reach that level, where everyone, security agencies, citizen group, even town unions, you know, my friend gives a very, Dr. James Zasha, he gives a very good illustration about why corruption
is so high
in society. He says, if you go to any village,
yes, and you steal a goat,
and you see a goat, and you carry the goat,
the whole society will
surround you, because you can't eat another person's.
You can't toy with the thing.
But if you go to the bush and catch a grasshopper, when you come back, you will be hailed, because the grasshopper belongs to nobody. It's bushmeat. So people see government money as bushmeat, and community money as a domestic animal that belongs to the community. And it's also a reflection of our colonial mentality,
where people were alienated from government.
And government work is Oruoyibo.
Yes.
White man's job.
You are doing it for some other
Iruoroyibo Inurobo. Meaning white man's job. So if you go and do white man's job and you get the money from white man and come back to the village, you are rewarded with chieftaincy title. So as a country, after many years of colonial rule, we must do reorientation. That's why I think that one of the most important agencies in our country today is the National
but
Orientation
I am not
Agency,
sure that they are
because they are not funded. They are not funded. So if not, they have experience. They are in every local government area in the country, but they are not funded to do the work. So reorientation is key, so that town unions, community organizations,
everyone becomes,
religious bodies,
everyone becomes
professional bodies,
major stakeholders,
trade unions become major stakeholders, not only in the electoral process, but in how the society as a whole is governed.
I mean,
there is a rule, sir, of corruption. The Robert Igbuzor formula. It says that corruption is equal to monopoly plus discretion minus transparency minus accountability and minus integrity. So anywhere in the world
where those factors are
where
present,
there is monopoly
and there's
where
no
there is discretion
and no transparency,
no accountability, corruption will thrive. That's the reality we have.
Talking about change, doing something about orientation, doing a reorientation. We are coming out of a feudalist, highly feudalist society. You can see some of our political active political elites. They are like feudal lords in their various enclaves. And every election, they win. Or they are the godfathers appointing those who will win. Our people tend to have that orientation that, yeah, this chief, this person is like, yes. And then when you talk about a new person, they say, no, we don't know him. Meaning that it's as if we have surrendered ourselves and our faith to certain names. And it is only those names we go out to vote for. And because I have been in areas where there are suggestions of some good young people, good new generation people, and people say, oh, what has he been before? And I'm like, if we are complaining that our country has been so badly run, why do you need the experience of people who have badly run the country? Why don't you get people who don't have those dirty experiences? And it's so difficult to convince our people that, look, we need a new generation. We need a new orientation. We need a new culture of politics. So it is not by simply recycling the same people that you are going to get a new culture.
I agree with you, but you know, a lot of things conviction, there are a lot of things that bring conviction. One of the things that is going to convince our people is their own suffering.
Are they not suffering enough?
Yes.
Are they not suffering enough now?
But it will continue for some time.
This suffering?
Yes. And as it continues, as they suffer more, their eyes will become open. And one cannot dispense experience completely. But experience in what?
That's what I'm saying. If it is experience in corruption.
And the people should look at experience based on what has the person done. Where has he worked before? Where he worked before, what did he do? So, for instance, if you want to assess somebody like me now, go to where I've worked.
Go to Action Aid. Go to CDD.
Go to CDD. Even I represented civil society in a police service commission as a commissioner. Go to the commission and ask. Do you understand?
Yes.
So, when you see that, then you can predict what the person will do if he's given a higher responsibility.
So, if I want to go to politics, go to Catholic Secretariat.
Go to Catholic Secretariat, exactly. And say, how did he run the Catholic Secretariat? So it's not to say, has he been governor before? When he was governor, he impoverished the people. So how is that experience to go to another level? To a higher level. So that is what you see. And I think it's like what we said earlier. People may be aware, but they are not conscious. So we need to continue to push the envelope.
So the campaign must continue.
The campaign and
advocacy must continue.
Yeah. It must continue. In fact, for some of us, it's what we do till we die. We will continue to push the envelope. It doesn't matter. That's what one scholar said. He said it doesn't matter whether what you are pushing, whether people will accept it or not.
You just
continue to push. Yes. If they don't accept it today, maybe this generation will not accept it, but future generation. Look at the story of Karl Marx, for instance.
Yes.
Karl Marx has been reputed to be one of the most influential scholars of all time. He died in 1883. But when he died, there was no socialist government anywhere in the world. The first socialist government took place in Soviet Union in 1970. And then since then, there were other experiments of socialism. We all know what happened. Many of them collapsed. But at least an idea that he put was put to practice.
Yes.
And if you look at his own ideas, you can even know why some of them collapsed. The human factor that was not able to put the principles. Look at the principle of democratic centralism, for instance, which says that, look, when you are making decisions, it must come from the bottom.
Yes.
And then you go to the top. So by the time the top takes the decision, it becomes binding on everybody.
Because but what happened from them?
You had the bureaucracy.
The Politburo.
The Politburo started taking decision on top and passing it down.
So eventually it will collapse.
It will collapse. But at least it has been tested. So what I'm saying is that for us advocates, we don't care the personal cost. We don't care whether people will accept it now. Maybe even if they don't accept it now, our children will, especially now that everything is stored online.
Yes.
Even these our discussions, they will look at it.
Yes.
100 years to come, if Jesus tarries. And then people will get ideas from there and push the envelope. Because we are where we are today because some people pushed in the past.
Yes. Thank you very much. I mean, this is fantastic. And I like ending it on this note of hope. On this note of determination to continue to push. And to say that if in your lifetime, in my lifetime, there is no change, no problem. Because when the Lord asks us to go and preach the good news, for example, it's not whether people accept it or not. In season,
the conversion is not us, it's the Lord.
Yeah, it's in season and out of season. And just knowing that my call is to do my best. And to continue whether the people change or not. I mean, I'm beginning to say, like, at my age, well, Nigeria may not become the country of my dream in my lifetime. But I know that what I am preaching, The advocacy I'm doing now will add up, because I know that every good that I do adds up to the pool of goodness that will transform the world.
Absolutely.
So on that note, we end. It is fantastic, Dr. Igbuzor, for this contribution and for your engagements. And I am happy. I wanted to say, please continue. Don't be discouraged. But you yourself have said it, that you will continue.
As we say, a little continue.
Continue.
Thank you,
God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.